students, in today's article we are going to discuss about this news from the Hindu, that is the tax distribution by states needs to be revised. So which means this particular article talks about the tax distribution to states needs to be revisited. So who will actually do the tax distribution between the union government and the state government? So this particular article is talking about the equal or the efficient tax distribution between the union government and the state government. So who do this responsibility? That is done by the Finance Commission, correct? The Finance Commission is set up by whom? The Finance Commission is set up by the President of India, okay, under Article 280 Clause 1. According to the Indian Constitution, Article 280 Clause 1, the President appoints the Finance Commission once in every 5 years. Now the recent one is the 16th Finance Commission, and the 16th Finance Commission commissioner or the head of the commission is Arvind Panagaria. You got it? So this particular article is about, it is saying the central government is also collecting the tax, state governments are also collecting the tax, but the state governments need more funds to be distributed, correct? So this article talks about complete modalities used for the, that is the criteria are used for the distribution of the taxes between the center and the states, and how efficiency and the tax collection by the states need to be considered before deciding the distribution of the taxes. Which means it is a very, very important article that will give you a lot of understanding of the concepts, right? So here the Finance Commission, some states have been arguing that their contribution to union tax revenue have been higher than other states, therefore they rightfully have higher shares in the union taxes. See, for example, the state of Karnataka, let me take, assume that, we'll just assume some number, Karnataka state is contributing 100 rupees to the tax revenue, total tax revenue to the central governments, right? So if it is contributing 100 rupees and the Karnataka state government is given only 35 rupees in return, how much is the contribution by the Karnataka state government to the union taxes? 100 rupees. How much union government is distributing in back to Karnataka state? Let us take 41 rupees. Let me take 41 rupees. But Karnataka state's contribution is higher, that is 100 rupees. You understood? Some of other states are there. Let me take it as an X state. This particular state is contributing only around 35 rupees to the central taxes. But this state is also getting how much rupees? 41 rupees. The state which is contributing less is getting more taxes comparative to the contribution by the state, and the state which is giving more taxes, that is 100 rupees its contribution, but it is taking back only 41 rupees. So this is the question here. This is what is the statement is saying. So some of the states are collecting more taxes and they are contributing more to the union tax revenues, but they are being distributed less from the union. See, for example, if 100 rupees is received by the union government, correct? So union government will keep certain amount for the central planning and central programs, right? And around 41%, according to the 15th Finance Commission, around 41% will be distributed among the states, right? This is how the tax distribution function works. And many states are saying we are contributing more to the tax, we should be paid more, we should be distributed more from the central government. You understood? So here we argue that the tax contribution by the states is good measure of efficiency, and goods and services tax regime creates an opportunity for this inclusion in the distribution formula. It's very simply saying efficiency should be taken into consideration. What do you mean by efficiency here? Some of the states are more efficient in collection of the taxes. As I told you, Karnataka, some of the southern states are collecting more taxes. That is coming under the efficiency, and their fiscal deficit, that is the fiscal discipline of that particular state, is also good. See, for example, you have 10 rupees and you are spending around 9 rupees. which means this is a efficient spending according to your income. Your income is 10 rupees, you are spending 9 rupees and you are saving 1 rupee. This is efficient. But if your income is 10 rupees but you are spending 20 rupees, this is inefficient. This is inefficiency. So this article is saying the one who is more efficient in tax discipline, that is a fiscal discipline, and the one who is collecting more taxes should be given more taxes, more distribution of the taxes from the central government. You understood? So next, equity efficiency in tax revenue transfers. To recommend the proportion of the union tax revenue to assigned states, there are two formulas. See, listen, the efficiency and the equity share of tax revenue transfers. First one is, see, finance commissions will be having two important responsibilities. That is what it is talking about. First responsibility is to recommend the proportion of the union tax revenue to the assigned states, which means distribution of the tax revenue to the states. That is the first responsibility. Second responsibility is saying different states will be getting different tax revenues, not uniform. To recommend that share of the each state in the assigned tax revenues, there are two responsibilities. First one, how much is the share between the union government and the states? Second responsibility is the distribution of the revenues between the states. That is, how much is the A state is going to get, how much is the B state is going to get. Normally what happens, the state which is very poor in collection of revenues, in collection of taxes, the state which is very poor in collection of taxes, and the state which is having more population, listen carefully, I'll explain you further, more population, the state used to be getting more tax revenues. That is a formula till the 7th Finance Commission was being used, right? And the B state may be financially rich and more stable, and such state may be given less. Okay, this is the formula used so far. And let us see further. And actually the income tax formula, the personal income tax formula was been predominantly used to consider the tax distribution among the states. See, personal income tax, central, that is a union excise duty, were predominantly earlier considered. Later on all central taxes were being pulled, which means, see, for example, the central government used to receive around 10 types of taxes. All were not distributed. Only the personal income tax, that is the one, and second one is the central excise duty, that is the two. They were only earlier distributed. Later on it is included all the central government taxes. That is what the statement is saying. This is the old history, that is up to 2000, how was the tax collection process was, right? With reference to second task, the Finance Commission devised a distribution formula to arrive at a share for each state. It is based on the principle of equity and efficiency. That is the second formula I told you here. That is sharing between states, that I have explained already, A and B. Right, so that is sharing between the states. A state will be getting more because of the equity principles and the efficiency principle. This has been introduced actually. Equity principles and efficiency principle introduced after 2000. Before 2000, this formula, as I told you, poorness of the state and the more populated state, that was the formula was existing. Right, and efficiency is rewarded. Listen carefully. Equity stipulate. What do you mean by equity here? That is a revenue scarce, less revenue state, and state with higher expenditure, the state which is having more expenditure, used to get more share of the union tax revenues than others. You got it? This was a old formula actually. Efficiency is to reward the states that are efficient in collecting revenues and rationalizing the spending. These two formulas are being incorporated now. Earlier only this formula was used. Poorness, more expenditure, more populated state used to get more. Now the efficiency is also integrated with this, which means at presently we have both equity and efficiency formula to distribution of the revenues between the states. Right, and states from which large volumes of income tax revenues have been collected argued to consider and assign a higher weight to tax collection. This is actually a reasonable argument. That is, the state which is contributing more is asking more revenues. Correct. And successive finance commissions, what the successive finance commissions did with respect to income tax revenues, so they given weightage of the income tax revenue 10 to 20%. which means I wanted to distribute around 100 rupees and I will consider income tax collection as a 10 to 20%, I will give only 10 to 20% weightage to income taxes, not more than that, right? While considering how much I have to distribute you. You may be, collecting more income taxes, but only 10 to 20% will be taken into consideration, right? Even till today, that is the formula has been formed. And next is, we should note that tax contribution is an efficient indicator, which means the state which is collecting more tax, it is an efficiency of the state. No, it should be taken into consideration because the state level of the development and economic structure decided the tax contribution. However, Finance Commission had assigned only 10 to 20% weight to this efficiency indicator. You got it? How much? See, if you are collecting more taxes, you are collecting more taxes and the weightage is given only 10 to 20%, it needs to be increased, right? Population, a chief indicator of the expenditure needs of the state, was given 80 to 90% weight in the first 7 finance commissions. The initial 7 finance commissions was given 80 to 90% weightage to whom? More populated states. More populated state used to get more revenues. Don't you think if that was the case, even till today, states were indirectly increased, to get more populated, and they will not control the population, right? Now the opposite is working. The state which is controlling the population, the state which is more efficient in controlling the population will be getting credited with more revenues. Okay, till 7th that was the case. And in addition to that, the scheduled caste states, the state which is having more tribal population, more scheduled caste people, and lacking physical infrastructure, and lot of social indicators were used to be considered, right? And thus the Finance Commission have always favored assigning more than 75% weight to equity indicators. This is what is social contributions, population, expenditure, etc. were the equity indicators. Efficient indicators meaning, you have to understand here two things. Equity indicators meaning what? How much is the expenditure for the state, how much poor the state, and how much social backward of the state, how much SCs and STs are there in the state. These are all the equity indicators. What is efficient indicators? Which means the state is having how much tax the state is collecting, total tax collection of the state, and how much fiscal discipline the state is following. Fiscal discipline meaning it is not exceeding its expenditure, which means its income is more than its expenditure, right? Or the expenditure is less comparative to its income, right? And the 15th Finance Commission, the distribution formula had tax effort with a weight of 2.5%. See, states are putting a lot of effort to collect more taxes and the weightage is given only 2.5%, right? And demographic performance and indicator of efficiency is a population is given only 12.5%. Which means demographic efficiency meaning what? Control of the population. If you are controlling the population in your state, you will be credited with 12. That weightage will be 12.5% consideration, right? The remaining 85% weight is still given for equity indicators. Actually, equity indicators should be less. See, if you think about the poorness and etc., you may be thinking, sir, equity indicators should be more, but efficiency, because it will not be encouraging the efficient states. No, see, for example, I'm a state, I am performing good, I'm collecting more taxes, I'm controlling my population of my state, and I'm doing everything right, but I'm not been credited with more taxes. The one which is showing poorness of the state and the one who is keeping the state in the poor condition will be credited with more taxes. Don't you think the poor state, which means the poorness of the state, will be promoted more indirectly by the distribution of the central government's taxes? I hope you understood, right? Equity indicators, per capita income, population, as per the 2011 census has been used here, right? Next is the tax distribution is the tax contribution is distribution formula, which means the tax contribution should be given more priority in the distribution formula. The state which is putting more effort. See, listen here. The states have been argued for increasing the weight for efficiency indicators like tax effort, fiscal discipline, which means the states are spending according to their income. If their income is 10 rupees, they are spending 10 rupees. They are not exceeding it. correct? But the present, that is formula is, that is if your income is 10, you're spending 20, considering that this is a poor state and giving more tax revenue distribution to that particular state is a not good idea. Got it? So at presently, GST is a fantastic idea where, the tax distribution between the union government and the state government is more efficiently being found out. Earlier, this was very difficult, correct? So how much is the tax distribution? How much is the state collected? That was a statistical complication was there. GST made it easy. If 18% GST is there, so it will be very easy to find out 9% goes to central government and 9% goes to state government. Using this formula, easily we can distribute the state, tax revenues to the state. This is what is entirely mentioned here. Okay. So next, it's very, very importantly mentions. So with the taking into consideration the GST, the 16th Finance Commission should also take the petroleum consumption as an indicator of tax distribution, tax contribution to the national exchequer. They have to take the petroleum contribution by the states, which means the state which is efficiently and effectively collecting more revenues with respect to the petroleum consumption. The petroleum consumption should also be used as an indicator with the GST relative contributions, namely the GST revenue, the state which is collecting more GST, and the petroleum consumption of states are fair and accurate measure of state contribution to the national exchequer and a good measure of efficiency. This should also be added into the distribution indicator. You understood? So that's it for the day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.